Hey, what is up, guys? It's Guildspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. How y'all doing today on this marvelous Saturday afternoon? Hopefully all are doing well. As you can see here today, I am going to be co-hosting with me, myself, and I, as I'll be doing a solo stream today. Decided, it's going to be refy anyways. Unfortunately, we had to do a last-minute ref switch. And so I decided, you know what, hell with it. Let's be ref, let's be scorekeeper, let's do the whole 9 yards. So how y'all doing? Hopefully you all are doing well. Right now, we are just waiting for the Cerebral Assassins builds as we speak, and they are coming on in. So let's take a look. So far, looking good. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think we are good to hit the ground running. Good to go. So I'm going to be switching over back to the spectator spot, and you guys are going to be spectating the survivors against How Did We Get Here. So this is Cerebral Assassins versus How Did We Get Here, with How Did We Get Here killing first on Ironworks of Misery. Let me know down in chat there what your thoughts are on what killer that How Did We Get Here is going to be bringing. I mean, realistically speaking, they have a few S tiers still running about, so very possible that we'll see those today, as today is the Saturday Division's last game of the season, so it would not be surprising in the slightest. With that being said, let me get my scorecard up and ready. Was doing some tweaking on the scorecard, so I need to uncheck some boxes here and there. But what's everyone been up to today, if anything much? Are you excited to be seeing more COTF streams? I know that I am excited to be doing more of them. I am thinking that this might be the new normal throughout Season 1, where I will have every stream on Saturday, Sunday streamed. I still have my personal streams I want to do, so I might not be able to guarantee all of them, but I'll try and do as many as possible. Alright. Well, with that being said, we'll have to wait and see what CA brings to the table, as we're waiting on one more survivor to ready on up. So sad Chef didn't get off his demo. Yeah, that is really unfortunate, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie. Hopefully he'll be able to show it off, whatchamacallit. Hopefully we'll show it off next season in Season 1. Be looking forward to that. Alright. Yeah, unfortunately, for those who are not aware, our 2 o'clock match between Torment, which is now Regicide, versus Sample Text had been cancelled. Unfortunately, Regicide was unable to participate, and thus they took the forfeit. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I understand that life comes first, so we'll have to move on, and we'll see that matchup hopefully next season instead. So, just waiting on Cerebral Assassin, Squirtle Surgeon, the Claudette to ready on up. Maybe they're doing some last-minute changes. Thinking about a few things here and there. Not really sure what exactly is going on. Also, I'm realizing that for some reason the perk cover is not here. Let me fix that real quick. Should be good to go now. Good. Excellent. And looks like we're jumping right on into the match. Wicked excited to see this, and excited to see what Trix is going to be bringing to the table. So you're hoping for a demo, Chef? Is that what you're hoping for? Personally, based on the killer tracker, I'm feeling some S tiers coming on out. I know Trix has a pretty large bag of tricks available to them, but for me, I'm feeling something like maybe a nurse. I think Spirit is also available still to How Did We Get Here. It looks like Nurse is available, looks like Spirit's available. They actually have a whole lot of killers, like S and A tier killers still available to them, so it will be anyone's guess, realistically speaking. But I'm definitely feeling some of these S tiers that are still available. It seems obvious to me that's what we're going to see today. See them coming out swinging. But with that being said, we're going to be jumping right on in to the Ironworks of Misery. For this map specifically, would not be surprised to see a Nurse. It's not a bad killer play, though that middle building can be a bit atrocious, as Nurse does have a hard time blinking to the second story. There are just some areas where the hitbox does not allow her to blink. I think the catwalk is one of them where they are, but if they end up on the stairs, they're pretty much in a dead zone. Let's jump into spectate, and let's see. We see Wiener Buttballs. Great name. I can explain Squirrel Surgeon, To Be Honest as Ace, and Tricks as the Nurse. Alright. Well, let's take a look and see what comes of this match. I am wicked excited to see what Trix is able to bring to the table. So far, we do see Corrupt Intervention in the distance, as well as a lit totem. What that totem is, we have yet to discover. More likely than not, you know, we can make the safe assumption that it's probably Ruin, but who knows? Maybe they brought a Devour Hope instead. Trix still trying to identify where these survivors are, and we've seen last time with Cerebral Assassins in their game against Sample Text, they were very keen on waiting out Corrupt Intervention. Against certain killers that's doing more harm than good, I think against a Nurse, as long as they are not found, this will be a very strong position to be in. And we see here Trix just taking their time, kind of patrolling their active gens. Honestly, if I was them, I might take the time to explore basement if it is in Shack. I have seen on multiple occasions now Cerebral Assassins be down in basement. Would not be surprising to me if they are there at this moment, currently just waiting out Corrupt Intervention, having a little bit of a group chat, you know, a real pep talk down there. It's kind of like that time for football players before they exit the locker room, you know, do a quick huddle, right? So I imagine that might be the case in this situation. But you know, we might never know. We might never know. As we see Nurse just patiently looking around, hoping to find the wayward survivor out in the open. But I think Cerebral Assassins is sticking to their guns. But wait, right at the end of Corrupt Intervention, Yoon does get spotted. Now, I will say that they do not really get all too much value out of their Corrupt, with that being said. But we are in our first chase. Let's see if the Yoon Jin here does get hit. And very nice hit by the Nurse. Let's see if they're able to follow up, however, and get their first down. They will need it quickly, that is for sure. And surely enough, that will be the first down, and inevitably, the first hook for Trix. Not too bad at all. All the while, we do see a Tinker proc go off. Thankfully for the Nurse, that is very close by. And is already in chase once again. Gets a quick hit, and once again, will this be able to be a quick chase, as we have seen already? Trying to identify where the survivor is. But we see another Tinkerer. Trix now needs to make a decision whether or not they're going to go for the Tinker or for the survivor hook, and they decide to go for the hook instead. I mean, so far, getting them off of one Tinker activation, getting 2 hooks, I mean, this is a really good scenario for this Nurse. I will say, very strong position. Survivors on the hand do end up getting a generator at this point in time, and right now, the Nurse is in a pretty good position. They were able to get that unhook, however, but Ace gets identified out in the open and will take another hit. This Nurse has shown us thus far that they are pretty good at getting that double tap. We do see a Firecracker, which did not light burn the Nurse. So really smart play for those who are not aware. A Firecracker or Flashbang is able to light burn the Nurse off her teleport and lock her out of doing so. But that will be another hook for tricks at this moment in time. Not too bad at all. So that is 1 hook on 3 individual survivors. I mean, realistically speaking, I believe that they're probably going to go back to basement at this point in time and try and pressure the unhook in basement so that way they can get a second stage. Question is whether or not they can get this hit to interrupt, and they are not. But this will probably end up resulting in a trade nonetheless, as Nurse is going to be able to catch up to this Nia pretty freaking quickly. Sure enough, outside the window, will Nurse try for the blink? They do. There's the pallet throw. And the fake, Nia able to get away there. One of the first chases where Nurse has not been able to 1-2 tap down the survivors. And currently looking for where Nia is going, and looks like she's going to be going back into the tile. Nurse losing her momentarily there, as Nia does run back into her point of view. So far, the Nurse has been able to apply a lot of pressure, but is struggling with this next chase here. Let's see if she's going to be able to keep the pressure, but it looks like instead Nurse is going to opt to go for the Tinker instead. The problem with this is that we did see that Ruin Totem get cleansed, so they no longer have any passive gen regression. So in this instance, the Nurse is going to need to rely on downs in order to get any form of gen slowdown. And it's all going to be reliant on how long these chases are, whether or not she's going to be able to get value. With that being said, we see another Tinker proc. Trix having to make a decision here. Do I go for the Tinkerer or do I go for the down? And I think the smart move here, in my opinion, is to simply go for the down. And they do get it, but at the cost of 2 generators. Quite costly indeed, but not the end of the world. As we all know, Nurse can come back quite quickly if they are interested in doing so. That will be the second hook for the survivors, however. And realistically speaking, if I'm this Nurse, I'd want to get that Yoonjin out of the game as soon as possible. Let's see what comes of that. And if Cerebral Assassins will opt to go for the unhook right now or go for it later. Cerebral Assassin's doing a great job of applying good gen pressure. Unfortunately for the Nurse here, you know, we're seeing very clearly that they don't really have any 3 or 4 gens to play around, and they're in a very, very weak position. Though Tinker is good on Nurse, I will say personally, I think that Tinker on Nurse without additional range extension from the add-ons can be rather weak, as you're not really able to get to that gen in a timely manner. Nurse trying to predict where the Claudette went, but Claudette being privy to that knowledge and ends up moving around instead. We do see another blink coming in, though Claude is on the outskirts. Will Nurse be able to pick her up? I think doing a smart move here and fatiguing out rather than trying to predict her direction. But in the meanwhile, we see another Tinker proc, and once again, given the fact that Ruin is gone, they have to make a decision. Do I go for the down, or do I go for the Tinkerer? And I think the down is going to be the smarter move, and we do see 2 people, at the very least, maybe potentially 3, or 1 additional with Prove Thyself on that gen based on the amount of time that Tinker timer had left. Nurse is finding Ace here, pushing him off the gen, but will it be too late? They still have 4 survivors up, and though Nurse doesn't get the hit, she does get the fatigue as well as the stun, making a lot of distance between her and Ace. Looks like she is going to continue in pursuit, but will Ace be able to get away? He will not, and so that will be another down for the Nurse. But will we see another Tinker proc as soon as we get this hook? I would not doubt it at this point in time. Second hook for Ace. Nurse is out and about, and these survivors are trying to go for that gen. Looks like Nurse is going to take her time, slow down the game, regress the gen if a little pop goes the weasel, taking 20 seconds off of that generator. All the while, we do see Ace get off a hook. I mean, honestly, I might want to go back for that Ace and get him out of the game, try and reduce as much gen pressure as possible. But Nurse having other ideas in mind and instead going for Nia, and just barely missing that hit. Looked like they're trying to shorten up their blink, but were not able to do so in a timely fashion. Thus, Neo's able to avoid by doubling back into the Nurse's point of view. Nurse, once again, taking their time, going to be patrolling gens here. I think a smart move. Nia wasn't injured. I think the best thing to do is pressure gens before going for that chase. Though I do see him going for this Claudette here. I think the right move, as we did see Ace on that gen as well, is go for Ace, go for the down, go for the dead on hook. But instead, Nurse looking to spread the hooks across the board. Not sure if this is the right move. Depends on how long this chase will be. And we see Locker Tech against the Nurse. But will it be enough? Probably not, but we do see a Tinker proc in the distance. Will we see 2 or 1 person on a gen? When Tinker goes off, you have 16 seconds to get back the generator, but it looks like there's 2 people on the gen at that point in time, meaning that they only had 8 seconds. Not enough time for Nurse to get there, and I think the right move here is just to camp it out. That way they can guarantee the death hook at this point in time and save face, try and stop the bleeding and bridge the gap between Cerebral Assassins and how did we get here. Looks like that's exactly what Nurse is going to do. If the survivors are smart, they have 60 seconds. 1 exit gate already open. They could try for the 4-man out, which would risk the Nurse getting a little bit more points. But honestly, if I was them, I would just say, let's GTFO, let's get out of here, let's get the 3-man out. At the very least, that will result in a win for this round, and that looks to be the case. With that being said, Nurse will get a 1K on what appears to be 7 hooks, 6 hooks, 1 progression. Not a bad showing from the Nurse, but an amazing showing by these survivors. As we do see here, Nurse's build was Corrupt Intervention, Ruin, Pop, and Tinkerer. Not a bad build, like I said. The only unfortunate part is that they do really suffer from that lack of range extension with Tinkerer. Points at the end of that match are 38 to Cerebral Assassins to 30 for How Did We Get Here, who played the Nurse today. So still a very, very tight match in the Survivor's favor. Only 8-point difference, which is not bad, all things considered. The Nurse did a very good job of getting hooks across the board and inevitably being able to get that kill on the Claudette. Next up is going to be Cerebral Assassins killing against How Did We Get Here's team on Ironworks of Misery. We're going to be moving back to intermission as we await their builds and seeing who is going to be killing. From the looks of things, it looks like RM and Squirtle will be killing today. Let's see who is killing first. Will it be RM or Squirtle? 'Tis the question of the day. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll hopefully get an invite soon. So chat, what were your thoughts on that match? You know, Nurse did apply a lot of good pressure, but, you know, do you feel like they could have gone for some different plays here and there? Of course, they went for Claudette over Ace. You know, what were your thoughts in that match in the long run? Also, correction, I just realized that I put a 3rd hook instead of progression for that last one. It is actually 38 points to 29, so they did get 1 less point for that 2nd stage 2 death hook progression, so it is a 9-point game instead. I wouldn't say that you choke tricks. I think they did a really good showing. I think the hard part with the Tinkerer, when Ruin's already gone, is determining, do I go for Tinkerer or do I go for the chase? I think that if you're ever in a chase with a person that is injured, and that's the only person that's injured when Tinker goes off, pursue the chase, get the down, because with Ruin gone, your only hope is Pop goes the Weasel, right? So that would be my personal take on the situation. You know, I like to see what chat's thoughts are as well in that scenario. You know, if there's no one else injured, the person you're in chase is injured, Tinker goes off, do you pursue the chase, or do you go for the Tinker proc instead to apply pressure? You know, what is your take in that situation? Looks like I need to add Squirtle. Let me take a look and see what their DID is on Cerebral Assassins. And let's see, Squirtle Surgeon. Let me try and add you real quick. And view profile, let's add you. Alright, Scroll Surgeon, if you can hear me, I have added you. Please invite me to the lobby when you do have a moment. Would be much appreciated. Yeah, that is true, Kieran. That is true. We did see a lot of those second blinks go to waste by double back into the nurse. So that is a fair assessment of the situation. But overall, I'd say it wasn't a bad match. You know, I would not be too down on myself in that situation. I think that was rather well played. Obviously, I think there are some little decision makings here and there that could have played a little bit better, but that was about it. With that being said, we are now in lobby with Cerebral Assassins. Let's invite How Do We Get Here at this point in time. And we see Trix is online. I imagine they'll be playing again. Get them in on here. And who else from How Do We Get Here is here? Guess we'll have to wait and find out. Both How Do We Get Here and Cerebral Assassins, please send me your builds when you are ready. Builds, please. At How Did We Get Here? Looks like we already have our build from Cerebral Assassins. Looking like a spicy one. Very looking forward to this match. Hopefully, guys are too. We also mentioned, make sure Ironworks at Squirtle. Making sure that they do switch over the map. Alright. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Ruin on that map. You do have to understand that Ruin on any Macmillan map is going to be a bad spawn. There is, of course, on Ironworks and Misery, the chance of Ruin being spawned up on top floor of the Ironworks itself, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong. But realistically speaking, it is not a good map for any totem. It is usually very, very punishing, as it tends to spawn out in the open, on a hill, next to a tree, you know, not very well hidden. That's one of the things that I do hope that in the future they do rework I believe they talked about doing rune totems, right? That would be kind of cool to see if they eventually rework where totem spawns are in general, or how totem spawns. In my opinion, what I think they could do is just add more totem spawns to the match. And that way, it'd be harder to identify where the totem ends up spawning. Who's killing? We are seeing Squirtle Surgeon kill here today. So we'll have to wait and see what they bring to the table. I am excited. But we're getting Cerebral Assassin, as well as How Do We Get Here in the lobby right now. And How Do We Get Here still needs to send me builds. Builds, please, guys. Come on. Need them sooner rather than later. There we go. Perfect. First build looks good. Waiting on the other three. But yeah, all things considered, I think a very strong match from Nurse. Obviously, with the 9-point difference, How Do We Get Here? Survivor team's going to have to pick up the slack and try and bridge that gap, if not overcome Cerebral Assassins. 9-point gap isn't much. If they get that 4-man out, then I think they'll be able to do just that, as Cerebral Assassins missed out on 12 points on the escape. So I think if, you know, How Do We Get Here is able to accomplish that, that will turn the tables in their favor. But if you are in Cerebral Assassin's shoes right now, who are you going to be bringing? They do have a lot of killers available to them, from everything from, you know, A tier, but not as much S. We have seen their Nurse, we have seen their Spirit, and their Blight. We have not seen their Executioner, Oni. We have not seen Bubba. We have not seen Billy. So what are your thoughts here, guys? What do you think that Cerebral Assassin is going to bring to the table today? Remember that we are on Ironworks of Misery. You want to learn Demo? Demo's a lot of fun. If you can get like some large stacks on Save the Best for Last, Demo is hyper lethal because you're able to M1 your non-obsessed survivor and you can immediately shred them. It is ridiculous what Demo can do. But I will say, if we're talking about shreddability, the Blight is where it's at. I've been playing a ton of Blight lately, and I've been having a ton of fun on stream. I've been absolutely loving it. And Man, the ability to simply shred a pallet, get my charge back almost immediately, and just rush the survivor down, gaining them no distance. It is so punishing. Where at least with Demo, you lose a little bit of distance, but not too much, because the shred abilities on Bubba, on Billy, on Demo, on Blight, they are very, very strong if used properly. One of the strongest, if you're not including Blight, of course, is Nemesis on tier 2, because they're able to move as they shred, which is actually a lot more important than people expect it to be. Twins? Twins is fun. Silent Legion wasn't available. Ooh, yeah, Legion's a fun one. Legion's a fun one. Very good anti-loop killer. Alright, let's see. We do see our second build. Looks good on that build. Wait on 2 more from how do we get here at this point in time. So once we get those last 2 builds, we should be good to go. There's our third build. Looking good, looking good. No issues there from what I'm seeing. And we just need our last one. So here's a question for you guys about Legion. I've been saying it for a while. What are your thoughts on Legion? I think Legion needs a bit of a buff, because realistically speaking, once Legion's out of Fail Frenzy into a chase on a tile, they're basically just an M1 killer. Do you guys think that Legion could use a little bit of buff? Because I've thought about it, and I think a little bit of a buff that they could use is that they could break pallets when they vault pallets with their power. Not immediately like Eerie Button, but imagine if Legion had to vault a pallet 2 or 3 times, and it would break a pallet. What are your thoughts there? Do you think that would be a fair buff for Legion? That if they Fail Frenzy, vault a pallet 2 or 3 times, it just breaks the pallet like Eerie Button, whereas Eerie Button brings it from 3 or 2 vaults down to 1 vault? Would that be a fair buff to Legion, and would that push him up from like D tier up to like maybe C, if not B? What are your thoughts there, guys? I'm curious. Because I've had that thought there for a while, because Legion definitely is suffering. Do I think he's the first killer that needs a buff? Hell to the no on that. But, you know, that's definitely Trapper and Myers. Alright, looks like the survivors are ready. Let me see if I did get that 4th build. We still have not gotten the 4th build from the survivors. We need the 4th build, please. How did we get here? Yeah, before you guys can ready up, I still need that last one. I see Simple, I see Hammy, I see Tricks, but I do not see Slashy. So let's give a quick at Slashy. Because I do need that before we are able to start on up. Legion's tough to buff because making them better could easily make them insanely OP. It's hard killer to buff without breaking. Oh, abso-freaking-lutely. For all those who were here when Legion was released, we all know what the hell that Legion could do, and it was frightening. Honestly, I changed by deleting Legion from the game. Of course, I see. But yeah, it's interesting. I think that having them have to vault a pallet with Fail Frenzy 3 times to break a pallet wouldn't be bad, because that would take time on the Fail Frenzy. Don't think it's a good enough buff to change him a whole tier. Maybe, but I think it would at least make him a little bit better. You know, baby steps are still good in my opinion. We saw that with Clown, for example, right? Clown's a good example where baby steps were taken. Do I think that it was a meaningful buff? To some degree, yes, but did it move him up a tier? Absolutely freaking not. So that is a big example. Whereas obviously Michael Myers and Trapper need a huge buff. They are by far, you know, the E tier killers, the bottom of the barrel, where they need significant buffs. I mean, honestly, for me, the obvious buff for Trapper is just give him Trapper Bag. You know, the Stitch Sack so he carries 3 traps off a start would be a huge improvement. Whereas Michael Myers is a hard one, I'll be real. I think that, honestly, if they just moved him at a tier 1, cut off tier 1, put him in tier 2 by default at a 115 speed, 16 meter terror radius, and, you know, increase his charge rate from tier 2 to tier 3 by, like, 25 or 50%, I think that'd be a fair buff for Myers. What do you guys think? Just doing these matches before I go do some Uber. Very nice, Simple. Very nice. Well, happy to see you here, my friend. Yeah, so what other buffs do you guys want to see? And, I mean, realistically speaking, obviously there's Myers and there's Trapper. Fingers crossed for a Myers buff. We did get a IP renewal from Behavior with Michael Myers, so there's a strong possibility that we do see a buff on Myers. Am I streaming all the matches today? Yes, I will be streaming all the matches. We're going to be streaming the 4 to 6 and the 6 to 8. I'm going to test out something, see if it works out, see how exhausted I am by the end of all of this. By the way, our match at 6 p.m. CST is going to be streamed alongside All for Domo, so if you are interested in that, definitely make sure to stay on by. And Jesus, that is a small image, my friend. Can I enhance? I can enhance, but I can't really see. I think I see all the ones I need to see, and I think it looks good. That is a small image. Now I need more pixels next time, my friend. I need more pixels, but they look good to go. So, good to go. With that being said, we'll switch on back to the main screen and see what killers Squirtle Surgeon is bringing to the table. Oh, there we go. Let's bring this up, and we're good to go. You have something for me? What you have for me, Wolf? I'm curious. Make him faster in Tier 2, then a bit slower in Tier 3. You don't need to get an IP renewal to change powers because they didn't have to for Freddy rework. Not necessarily, but I do believe that based on the contract, and most of them do, is that in order for them to rework certain killers, they need to basically appeal the IP holder. So with Freddy, as well as with Myers, I think that would have to be the case. I'd have to double check though. Want some play quality of life changes, you know, make her puke hitboxes actually viable. Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part of Plague. Sometimes you're like, I hit that survivor, and it just says, no, you didn't. It's like a little, like, mini things, hitboxes. I'd love to see what the hitbox is on Plague's Vomit to be able to really understand. But that would be easier said than done, to say the least. But I could see that. I do enjoy me some Plague, but I definitely feel that if I'm not in their back vomiting on them, sometimes I miss hits that I feel like I shouldn't. So I 110% agree. Alright, just gonna check builds real quick. Looking good. And who do we see from Squirtle Surgeon? We see a Billy. Very, very nice. I imagine we're going to hear that chainsaw throughout the match. And Billy very quickly finding a survivor, but also finding one of McMillan's specialties, which is a tree branch. Unfortunately, on this map especially, McMillan has those tree branches that are just little nubs. The hitbox on them, though they might be above you, is still going below the tree. And thus, because of that, it really does end up with some awkward scenarios for Billy. We do see a pallet coming up, and we already see a totem out. Low pro chains going right through the pallet and hitting Quentin. Amazing hit there. Unfortunately, it was not for a down. Instead, was for a hit, however. But getting ruined out early against the Billy, really, really strong stuff. And Billy committing to that chase and getting the down, not too shabby at all. So that'll be the first hook for the Billy. Billy once again off to the races, trying to find where the survivors are. Using chainsaw for distance, and Hammy already off a hook. I am a little bit surprised to see them insta-unhook like that, especially on Corrupt Invention. You'd think that they would try to stick on gens a little bit harder. But, you know, maybe there's a strategy there. Maybe Deliverance was activated. Bill getting caught in the open here, I don't think was part of strategy, and will result in another down and subsequent hook for Billy. Yeah, Billy's putting down a ton of pressure here. Nancy almost getting caught out by Billy. Surprised she was not hit there, to be honest. Billy has been on point. We do see a vault here. Billy feathering, but not able to get that down, but will pursue the chase nonetheless. Question of the day, will Trix here grieve this pallet by accident, or will Billy get a hit? And Billy does get the hit and can use some low pro change now to go for the down. But instead, it looks like they're going to go for the generator. They still have pop in hand, so they can get some good gen regression before going for the chase, and they do exactly that. A really smart play, in my opinion. And do we see a vault? We do, and we hear Bamboozle. Does Quentin hear it as well? He does not, and goes down because of it. Trying to go for that window vault, but no dice. Honestly, I don't even think that he would have been able to, even if Bamboozle was not in play. So, amazing, amazing plays here by Billy. And that will be second stage for Quentin Boy. All the while, we do see that How Do We Get Here does get their first gen of the match, but will it matter? Billy already on 3 hooks and on their 4th chase. They're in a very, very strong position. We already seen this Bill go down once in chase against Billy. Will he be able to turn in time? He does get to dodge that, and we do see him going to the next pallet, but will not have enough time to do so. And we do see a nice flick from Billy and a quick down. Nicely done, and that'll be another second hook for Billy on Bill. That is now 2 survivors on death hook at this point in time. So congratulations so far to Billy. Applying this amount of pressure is a really, really good spot for them to be in. And these survivors are in trouble. And Billy sees blood in the water, goes for Quentin, and he wants more. He wants to get Jake as well. Jake going for the blind? I don't know if that was really the right move in my opinion, but it did end up working out in their favor, as Billy does not know where they went. But Quentin Boy here, he ain't so lucky. With no DS in play, Quentin will be out of the game. And Billy will be off of the races once again. Looking for another survivor. All the while, we do see another gen pop off here. But Nancy getting caught out in the open. That is some rough, rough stuff. That'll be first hook for the Nancy. So far, 2 hooks for every gen done, and then some. These survivors are surely sweaty now, especially if one person already out, Bill still being on death hook, and Nancy on first. We do see this gen be worked on, and Jake as well. Looks like Nancy did go for the deliverance play, and is able to get off hook. Billy trying to go for that flick around the corner, but not able to make it connect. So far, amazing showing by Billy here. These survivors really will need to rally, or this Billy is going to have to make a lot of mistakes. Which, we're seeing a few of them here. They might be small mistakes, but they give precious seconds to these survivors to do something else like generators. But if we notice something right now, there's blood here. Is that blood of the Nancy, or is that blood of the Bill? Because I think that may have been 2 sets of scratch marks. One from the Bill, and one from the Nancy. And sure enough, Bill here trying to firecracker play, trying to desperately get out of the way, but not gonna happen. And we see Bill going up onto his 3rd hook, and that's gonna be 2 survivors out of the game at this point in time. I think the survivors are in a very dangerous position. Billy trying to do a sneaky turn there out of that doorway, but without any luck. I mean, at this point in time, Nancy's still injured. Simple is out and about with them being on first hook. We see that they have worked on this gen since last time. What these survivors need to do is they need to get one more gen done. And looks like Nancy's either giving up or trying to give herself up. I'm not sure which. That was a little bit peculiar. It is possible that these survivors are saying, all right, we're not going to escape this match. Let's see if we can get Hatch. Of course, Squirrel Surgeon is going to be slugging for the 4K. And their only hope as survivors right now, in my opinion, is to get this last gen done. But unfortunately, at this point in time, that will result in them giving the positioning away to Billy. So what they need to do is get one more gen done, get Hatch to spawn, immerse the way through. Simple goes down. Once again, another cross map from Billy. And this is a very tricky scenario for these survivors to be in. I mean, realistically speaking, you know, Nancy's gotten healed, but what good will that do, especially as Billy may have missed her. She was right to the left of her. He does see the scratch marks, however, and Simple does get up. So it looks like Bill's going to go back for a Simple instead of Nancy, which is interesting. I would be surprised if Nancy isn't going to jump on that gen back in Shack but looks like that does not mean much, as Sim's going to be going back down, and that was with 100%, no doubt in my mind, an unbreakable play. So there's no chance of them getting away. Doing some Space Billy, a little homage to Space Billy there, jumping over that tile. And it looks like there was some progress on this gen, but no sign of the Nancy. Squirtle Surgeon does need to be careful here, however. If they do end up allowing Jake to bleed out or get too far away, then they could lose this pressure. I mean, at the end of the day, at this point in time, it might not be a bad idea to just simply hook the Jake and call it a day, as at this point in time, Nancy does not know where the hatch is. So this is going to put the pressure on them at this point. And that'll be first hook for the Jake. See some progress here in middle building. Though it does not look like that means too much. Looks like that'll be a progression for the Jake. And I imagine they're going to try and suicide, spawn hatch, and see if Trix here, the Nancy, is going to be able to escape. Looks like Squirtle Surgeon's searching around for hatch. There is a bug right now to where the hatch does provide a little bit of elevation when you walk over it. So very possible that they're trying to find it that way, which would make sense to me. But so far, no dice, and Simple will end up suiciding on the hook. So it's all up to the Nancy and Billy to find this last generator, or not last generator, this hatch. Squirtle Surgeon sticking around middle, seeing if it spawns here. Doesn't look like they get good RNG. And now it's left up to Nancy and Billy and the Fates, who will find hatch first, who will get the RNG spawn in their favor. It looks like Billy does end up finding it, and now it's up to Nancy. Will she be able to pull off a escape via the exit gate? Against a 115 killer, you could potentially do a silent open and try and escape. But versus Billy, who has high mobility, I just don't think it's going to happen. Case in point, Nancy is going to be in chase, and I don't think this Billy is going to give any remorse. Nancy saying, here, come give it to me. And that will be the end of our match. Nancy going on second hook and her subsequent progression as well. And that will be the game in Cerebral Assassin's favor, really pushing them far ahead of How Did We Get Here. How Did We Get Here is going to have to do an amazing showing next match to try and bridge the gap. But good game, well played to Squirtle Surgeon on Billy, and to How Did We Get Here on Survivor. Billy's build that match, of course, being Ruin, Bamboozle, Pop, and Corrupt Intervention. Not bad at all. Total match at the end of all that was, let's see here. We have 20-53 for that match. So not a bad showing in the slightest from that Billy. So that will give them an additional 33 points ahead, in addition to their already 9. That is going to be 42-point lead for Cerebral Assassins going into the next round, with Running Man as the killer on the Pale Rose. I'll be very interested to see who they bring that match. So total score, 91-49 in Cerebral Assassin's favor. All right, with that being said, let's jump back to intermission. And let's reach out to both Cerebral Assassins. And how do we get here? Let's get RM into lobby. So at Running Man. Build and lobby, please. And once they're on in, we'll be able to get the builds from the survivors as well. So what did everyone think of that last match? What are your thoughts? How did Billy do? He's pretty good on those cross maps. Do I think that was necessarily on Billy and more on the survivor? To be determined, of course. I do think that the survivors did make some less than ideal plays as Billy was going for those cross maps. But what was your take on all of that? What is your thought on that? Coming in with my basement Bubba against you guys, bet? Well, I'll have to wait for Season 1. 500 parry cut, now you owe Running Man money? Oof, that's an oof there, Squirtle Surgeon. Bet, shouldn't have BM'd on there. Streamlabs does not like too long messages, like paragraphs. We don't want it clogging up chat. So try and keep your thoughts concise if possible. But that was a really good billing match, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, too long of messages, and Streamlabs is not going to take kindly to it. Fun game. Happy to hear they had fun. Got some low pro value, which is always nice. And let me see if I can add Running Man, as I do not have them on my friends list as of this moment. Let's add you, my friend. Alright. Interesting. Unless they've changed their name. I do not know what it is. So, D, if you can hear me, I will need an invite over to the lobby. Alright, build looks good. And at Running Man, I need an invite. Alright, just waiting on the invite from Running Man. We'll get on in. How we got here can't win? That's not necessarily true. If they do 4-man out this next match, there is a possibility. So if they were to 4-man out and get as few points, get as few hooks as possible, there is a possibility of a 4-man out. Also, do want to correct myself there. They actually got less points last match. I did have it on the wrong scorecard, so do apologize about that. Correcting it right now for the actual total. But it is less than likely for How Do We Get Here to win, of course. They are in a very tough position. Alright, just got the friend request from Running Man. I see you did change your name, you sneaky one. I was looking for it, but no dice. So let's see if I can join your lobby now. Yep, there we go. And let's get How Do We Get Here into the lobby. Looks like they already are. Excellent. Love to see it. Alright, all I need now is your builds, and we should be good to go. I do see killer builds good. And running... Alright, sounds good. So I got both Survivor and Killer. So we should be good in that regard. In that case, I will give them the go-ahead. And let's switch over to the main screen. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Should be good to go. And we are on the Pale Rose as a reminder to the Killer if they can hear me. Be interesting to see what they bring to the table. So, official points after that match, as I was looking at the wrong scorecard for that last one. Do apologize. Did I just mess up on that again? I did. It was 5-53, not 20. So, the point gap is much larger than initially thought. So, it's going to be a very, very difficult match for these survivors to bring on back. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. But, you never know until the fat lady sings. Let's see if How Do We Get Here can get a 4-man out against Cerebral Assassins. Total point total at this moment in time, 91-52 in Cerebral Assassin's favor. All right. Head nodding is bannable. Doesn't Billy know that? BMing in game is fine as long as you're respectful out of the match. That's what matters, in my opinion. And being that I'm the commissioner, that's kind of the final say. BMing in game is really not much of an issue. You do you. If you're BMing during the match when the match isn't over and you're wasting time, then that's your own own situation. But if you're BMing on last hook, then hey, all the power to you. It shows the people who would BM in a no-stakes tournament. I mean, it doesn't really matter if people BM or not. You know, I don't think that the other side really cared. And to be honest, in this situation, would it not be that How Do We Get Here would be ones to care in this situation? Not, How did Survivor 2 only get worth poor points? Don't you get progression for that? Let me double check on the scorecard if I did get something wrong. Yep, you are right. I must have Survivor 2. So, Survivor 2 on Game 2 is a full 14 points as it was 3 hooks. And Survivors on Game 2 only got 5 points from 2 generators. So, what is the question there, my friend? The scorecard as it is now should be fully up to date after that match. If there was something wrong, let me know and I can check the VOD on the Billy game. Don't you get progression? How do we get here? How did Survivors 2 only get worth 4 points? No, I think I may have, like I said earlier, I input their score into the wrong game, so I translated it back up to Game 2 instead of Game 3. So it should be good to go now. Everything in there should be A-okay to my knowledge. If you do think it's still wrong, I can check the VOD and double check, but I don't think it's going to matter all too much based on the point totals. Exactly. BM in-game has no real, no weight to it. It's your conduct in Twitch chat and in Discord. Those can be seen as unsportsmanlike conduct, and thus you can get penalized accordingly. Alright, builds look good to me. Let's jump on into the Pale Rose, and we see the twins, and Victor coming out already, looking around for these survivors. I will say on Pale Rose, it's going to be a bit of a double-edged sword for the twins. These cattails are hard to see through as Victor, you're right on in there, ground level. But we do see a totem go pretty quickly here, and we do see Victor lining up for a pounce, and does get the hit on Yui. Will twins be able to capitalize on that? I did not see where the twins were. Sometimes you get that little bit of info, but we do hear Yui as well as Victor up here, and that will be a quick down. Unfortunately, it's hard to tell from Yui's perspective where twins are because they are oblivious in that moment, but a very quick first gen, though unfortunately Yui will be going into the basement as of this moment. And that will be the first hook for Yui. And looks like RM is not a fan of the screams that Yui makes and stuns her very quickly. So first gen for How Do We Get Here, and first hook for Cerebral Assassins. And another pounce from Victor, very quick back-to-back pounces. And looks like Nancy was coming in for the unhook, but was body blocked by Charlotte. The question now stands is, will Cerebral Assassins just camp out basement? And I think they might. They might plant Charlotte right here at top of basement and put Victor out. I mean, there are 2 people injured out there, which is 2 potential downs. With that being said, we do see Simple go down on the ground. And now we're going to be looking for another survivor to down as well. And Nancy is nearby. And that'll be another down, leaving just Hammy up to fight the good fight. Question is, will they be able to get into basement or get some of these pickups in the interim? I do think that they can still get past Charlotte at the top of stairs, but looks like Quentin was going for the unhook and was found out by Charlotte at that point in time. Question is, will they go for Quentin or will they go for Jake, who at this point in time may have used their Unbreakable to get back up? Looks like instead, Twins opts to go for the hook on Nancy, as they do not see anyone near basement. We do see another Killer Instinct, however, from Victor as they go down into basement, and looks like Charlotte's going to be able to catch them out at top of stairs with Victor. So very smart placement of Twins there, but unfortunately, one little known fact about Victor: you cannot pounce upstairs. Downstairs, sure. Upstairs or any elevation, it's very hard for Victor to pounce. and we did see that in that moment. We do see a chase happening here of Quentin. That'll be a 2-man slug. No unbreakable in play at this point in time. Victor then finds Nancy. Will this result in a 4-man slug for the twins? We got 3. Do we see the magical number 4? Where is the Jake? Looks like at this point in time, however, they do end up get Quentin up, and that at this point in time would have to be a pickup by Jake on Quentin. We do see a killer instinct on Victor, and Yui is officially out of the game. I actually didn't see her go onto second stage, but I do know that was at least third hook. I'd have to double check into the VOD if that was a progression or a second hook. I'm fairly certain that was a progression, however. Do correct me if I am wrong. I can always check back into the VOD if necessary. And we also did get a hook on, I believe, the Nancy as well. Slashy, real quick, my friend, was that a progression on you, or is that 3 hooks in a row? Pretty sure that's a progression. But I do want to confirm, Nancy here does get tagged by Victor. And they are very close and fully oblivious to the twins. Looks like a little bit of a cheeky teabag there by Trix. I think they knew that it was going to be a little bit too late to do much. And Nancy will be going back up on hook. I mean, our Running Man's doing an amazing job here on twins. Survivors trying to rally back, however, and get some additional gen progress. Doing a little bit of BM there, you know, taking some time to whack the Nancy. You know, thinking that she's a pinata, but no candy comes from her. It was a progression. Thank you, Kieran. Do appreciate that. Sometimes hard to keep track of the scorecard and the game at the same time, but we're getting there. And Victor running back around, trying to check out the Pale Rose and see where they're at. Getting caught on some geometry here, and it looks like Nancy does get off a hook. I mean, Charlotte is very close to that unhook, but looks like they're going to opt to go with Victor instead, as they are injured at this moment in time. That'll be BT on the Nancy. Should have went for the Jake. Jake does take the moment to kick Vic, and that was the right move. But Nancy ending up right next to the twins. Does she have decisive strike? We will have to wait and find out. The answer is yes, so that may have been a purposeful play by the Nancy. We do see Ruin go off at this point in time, more than likely than not the Jake, who was up there on the unhook. Victor does find him, however, and will subsequently get the down. Yeah, Running Man's twins seems pretty good. They seem to know where to hook, how to get the good pressure. I mean, this is a very good exemplification on how to play twins. Quentin there have attempted dead hard, but little known fact, you cannot dead hard twins very effectively, at least not Victor. You have to dead hard against them on the horizontal plane, not the vertical plane. Or rather, you know, you want to dodge them from left to right, not from dead on. But with that being said, that will be the 3-man slug. We already have seen Unbreakable played, so at this point in time, that will be the end of this match. The question just stands whether or not RM is going to be able to find all the slugs on this map specifically. So, very good showing by Running Man at this point in time. And that will be the 3rd hook for the Nancy. Looks like they are able to find the Jake. The real question is, will they be able to find the Quentin, or will Quentin bleed out? First hook for Simple. And at this point in time, they're only going to be able to get roughly 2 gens for these survivors. Valiant efforts, not gonna lie, valiant efforts. Looks like that is a progression on Simple, trying to suicide to spawn Hatch. Maybe, just maybe, this last survivor could get some good RNG on Hatch and they could make it, but it's less than likely. But hey, you never know, you never know. Victor's gonna be out and about, trying to find Quentin at this point in time. So far, no dice. I mean, Quentin could try and rob the twins of some points by just going into into a corner and letting themselves bleed out. Looks like Simple has officially suicided, and that just leaves Quentin to find the hatch. So I think at this point in time, the right move might be for the twins to look for hatch, whether that be with Victor or with Charlotte, but you know, this game does seem to be pretty much over. So one thing I will note about BMing on hook, so something that I learned a while ago is that for those who use high volume on their headphones, some killers will hit people when they initially get hooked. That way they do not scream. It is an interesting play and does actually provide a little bit of value, funnily enough. But with that being said, it does look like they were able to find Quentin, and this will be first and last hook for Quentin Boy here. And up they go, and that'll be 1, 2, and 3. Good job by Running Man. GG, well played to Cerebral Assassins. And I think that there will be the nail in the coffin for this match. Very nicely done. Build on twins for that match was Ruin Undying, Corrupt Intervention, and Pop with Force Stew and the Toy Sword. Very, very strong build indeed. So congratulations to RM on that match, and GG, well played to the How Do We Get Here Survivor team. We're going to be moving into our last match, and this was a very close repeat to the match prior, as we do see Survivors with 5 points versus Cerebral Assassins at 51. Game 4, at this point in time, there is no way for How Do We Get Here to win. So they can kind of take it easy or go all in, kind of, you know, do a little bit of a comp scrim for lack of better terms. But at this point in time, Cerebral Assassins has won, the Fat Lady has sung, and the nail has been put into the coffin on How Do We Get Here. So I do believe that Trix will be killing for our last match. So let's jump into their lobby and see who they're going to be killing for their last match of this season. I do not see them. Oh, there they are. I was about to say, I don't see them online, but I do see them. Looks like, is Slashy going to be killing instead? I did get an invite by Slashy. So it looks like Slashy might be going instead of Trix. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, all right. All that being said, let's move back to intermission, where you guys can see me as I do await the builds. How did we get here? Killer build, please. Also, we are on Pale Rose. Let me invite Cerebral Assassins, bring in that one guy D, as well as Running Man. And I'll also ask for your builds as well at Cerebral Assassins. Builds, please. And we'll wait for those, and we should be good to go. Alright, alright. RM hit my survivor in my other lobby just right now, Super BM. You know, when you BM so hard that you BM across lobbies, that is quite impressive, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Your mouse sensitivity is up 300%, it wasn't my fault. Oh, criminy. So, overall, if we're looking at the twins played that last match, what were your thoughts that match, everyone? What were your thoughts? Did you think that was a pretty good showing of what twins can do? And what's up, Kieran? Can I basement Bubba them? No, you cannot basement Bubba them for this match. You have to wait until next season. Then you can basement Bubba them. Nah. We're gonna allow Slashy to play it out. Basement demo. Arm should have hit a cross map of Victor. In the first game, Sia went 2 hooks, 0 hooks, 3 hooks. Score sheet shows score for the killer for all for all 4 survivors. Shows score for the killer for all 4 survivors. Is that right? That is correct. But I do believe. Let me double check here real quick. Did I just put the names wrong? Oh, I see what happened. Yeah, so Survivor, there is a... So for game 1, there was a 3-man out. Oh, I see. I'll have to go back into the VOD. I must have done something wrong there. That's my apologies on that. There's a 3-man out on game 1. So I'll have to go back into the VOD. Not that I think it matters too much. I believe it was second hook for everyone but 1. Yeah, that's my mistake. Apologies about that. I must have accidentally translated game 2 up in game 1 by mistake. But I think it should be good now. Thank you for that call out. Do appreciate it. Alright, still waiting on builds in the Discord channels. If we could get those builds sooner rather than later, Cerebral Assassins, as well as How Do We Get Here, be much appreciated. Twins definitely seem to capitalize on Survivor mistakes. Seemed like they didn't run super well. Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, it is something that is definitely learned. As a quick note, How Do We Get Here is a very new team to comp. This is actually their first comp game, or rather, not comp game, but comp league that they've ever been in. So they are very much the baby of the league. And of course, as every team has been there, they're learning as they're going. I'm not going to say that they are, the worst team that I've ever seen. Absolutely not. But they still have a lot of room to grow, and that's okay. We all start somewhere. 2203. Thank you. I do appreciate it. I must have made a mistake there at some point on the survivors. I knew that was 2-2 and then 3 or 1 progression. So thank you for that. Do appreciate it. No, there's a progression. I do remember that now. There's progression last hook on Claudette, so it's 29 to 38. Yeah, I don't know how I messed that up, but I appreciate giving me the heads up there. Thank you. Cerebral Assassins coming in with their builds. I got 3 out of the 4 of them. So far, they do look good. And still waiting on How Do We Get Here. So, still waiting on that as of this moment. I need to DM you. I don't have permissions. Really? Are you still as a guest and not as a full-on person? Interesting. Either ways, I did get the build. And it's looking good to me. Excellent. Got the 4th build for Cerebral Assassins. And I think that we are good to go. So they literally don't know how they got here? Correct. That was the play on the name. How did we get here? But at the end of the day, I think that it is important to respect any team that throws their hat into the ring when it comes to competitive play. It can be really rough for teams, having their first time in comp. So I think it's just simply respectable that they, took that chance and, went into comp play. So, I think the biggest thing to do as a competitive league is to support them and try and build them up on how to play better. I saw that when I played for 4 Dwights 1 Locker in Vigo's Court, and it went a long way. We see 4 Dwights 1 Locker being a completely different team nowadays in comparison to their first league in Vigo's Court. So, best thing I can recommend, that, newer teams come in. And I think it's a very good thing for teams to... keep on joining comp and new teams coming in, because I've been a member of many different competitive scenes, from Magic the Gathering to Yu-Gi-Oh! To Crisis 2 back in the day, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and more. And when no more teams are coming into comp, that's when the comp scene dies. So we want to see these newer teams come in, and we want to build them up, scrim with them, try and support them to the best ability. And I think that's where we see the comp scene grow and grow, because if not, then we see the comp scene die instead. So, you know, that's something that I truly do want to emphasize in these scenarios. But I warned you, and looks like we are on the wrong map. I did even put it into Discord, so Slashy, shame on you for that one. With that being said, does look like both killer and survivor builds have been seen. Doesn't really mean all too much, but just as a general rule of thumb, you were warned in Discord to put it on Pale Rose. You did fail to do so. I do hope in the future that we do avoid situations like that, but please make sure. Man's on Hawkins would be an interesting map to play on. Alright, so switch over to Pale Rose, my friends. Switch over to Pale Rose. Comp Modern Warfare 3, no, when? Modern Warfare 3 is a while ago. Comp Modern Warfare 3 was a thing. Didn't miss too much, Ryan, didn't miss too much. We are on our last match of this, series with How Do We Get Here versus Cerebral Assassins. Alright, looks like they're ready on up. Slashy needs to change the map to Pale Rose. There we go. Thank you, Slashy. Do appreciate it. It looks like we're jumping right on in. I saw that no mither. I definitely saw something like that too. I was a little bit curious. You had a moment? Okay. No worries, Slashy. No worries. It happens to everyone. Just make sure to double check next time, my friend. I have to imagine the game is going just well. Game's going pretty well, you know, at the end of the day. We saw a very good showing by Trix on the first match with Nurse. The How Do We Get Here Survivor team on hand still suffering a little bit against Cerebral Assassins. But overall, very good showing across the board. You know, very evident that How Do We Get Here still needs to get some practice in on Survivor side. But at the end of the day, as a new team to a league, I think that that is purely acceptable. Alright. Well, that being said, this time we are going to be spawning on the Pale Rose. So, looking forward to that. And let's see if, I imagine Slash is going to be bringing the same killer. I did see the twins on the last one. Did not really pay too much attention to the builds, however. So, you know, still a bit of a surprise. Alright, we see RM. We see Nia, we see Claudette, and we see Feng Min, who is broken. And last but not least, we see the twins. And very interesting choice. Obviously, Force 2, in my opinion, ought to include add-on for this killer. What I am surprised to see, however, is Spinning Top. For those who do not know what Spinning Top is, when Victor hits you, it's basically Franklin's in a nutshell. You drop your item, and obviously you're able to pick it back up. It does not go away or lose charges like Franklin's used to, or it does. But it's still relatively not a bad item if the item does get lost somewhere in the map. Looks like Twins is able to identify where these survivors are on this first gen, and does find Nia and Claudette. Nia losing her item there, and or who's that? No, that's Yoon. Man, if these survivors have brightly colored hair, I'm not gonna lie, I mix up Nia, Yoon, and Feng Min all the time now. Without fail. Looks like that was Yoon who got hit, not Nia. Looks like Victor does get crushed up there on the gen, and Trix going to try and cut them off and go for a down. Does get a whiff, however, on Claudette, but might get it down here on the Yoon Jin instead. Yoon Jin getting a little bit of distance there, but will it be enough to get to a pallet? I don't think so. And they do go down. Looks like Twins trying to bait out a pallet stun, but was not able to identify where they're at. Instead, they do get a flashlight save, very narrowly dodging it. Not too bad. Claudette, if she was a little bit more bold, could have possibly have gotten that. And looks like Slashy getting a bit stuck there on that ramp. Slashy subsequently trying to BM, but misses, hits Hook instead. And are they going to go for the full on face cam? Doesn't look like it, and we do hear that their Ruin did get popped. So, question of the day, will Slashy end up going for gens? Looks like they do lose a generator in the distance. And kind of looking around the Pale Rose while also sticking by this Hook. The Cerebral Assassins do end up getting the unhook. Do they have BT? I'd be surprised if they didn't. Victor might be trying to wait out BT, and Claudette going in for the body block instead. Victor missing, and it looks like it's time to punt the runt. And Trix kind of getting a bit turned around here with three Cerebral Assassins team members surrounding them. Once again, trying to go for this down here on Yoon. Trying to get a mind game, but ends up losing them instead. Claudette doing a reverse pallet stun. Nicely done in that regard. Pushing the twins on the other side of the pallet. And Slashy going for the chase on the Nia instead. Unfortunately, missing on the gen. But though they're trying to go for the punt on the run, they instead do get animation locked onto that gen. And miss the hit and get hit for it. So we do see in the distance the Nia with Victor. Looks like they might be opting to take Victor hostage, allowing for these survivors to be Victor free for a little while. Looks like they're going to be trying to loop Shaq at this point in time, which, I mean, is going to be quite strong here. But due to the fact that they are oblivious, do not get a terror radius, or I do believe they might get a red light. We're not able to identify where the twins were, so unfortunately going down as they did lose the line of sight and going into basement at this point in time. Looks like twins going to stay at the top of the basement, though it's not going to be as strong as the basement camp in the Pale Rose, due to the fact that you can still drop down into basement, as we do see being the case. Now, here's the thing with Fangman having no Mither. If Slashy does wait a little bit too long, they can get up with no Mither. So they cannot take too much time here. And looks like they are doing just that. So no Mither, we're probably going to see them get up in a second here. And we do see... Interesting. Fangman opted to go onto the pallet. Why? I'm very curious on that fact. I'm not sure if they just opted to do that, try and get a cheeky pallet stun, or if maybe they have flip-flop. Could they potentially... I didn't look at their build. Could they potentially have flip-flop? Looks like a head-on. Getting whacked by that in the back. Do they have power struggle and flip-flop? Let's see. And they do indeed. I was very curious as to why they would do that. And that would be exactly that. Looks like this team here trying to go for a little bit of meme play. But did not exactly work out as they intended with two people in basement now down. Though if Slashy is not attentive, Fangman could get back up off the ground with no Mither. And that there will be another hook for the Fangmin. And we're probably going to be seeing a progression soon from the Claudette. Looks like Slashy's opting to kind of camp out basement here. I mean, no reason not to, but these survivors are ready with 4 gens out. I mean, there's no winning this, as we already know. Claudette going on to second stage at this point in time. And Slashy with another hit on Vic on the Yoon. We do hear scratch marks going down into the basement. They do miss the hit. And let's hope that they have BT. Looks like they might not. Looks like Claudette opting to go for the flashlight, but did not leave basement, interestingly enough. Will this be a attempted flashlight save? It will not. Close, but no cigar. And second hook for another member of Cerebral Assassins. Alright. Victor comes on back out and does find 2 survivors, both injured. If they do hit the Feng Min could potentially try and get back up with no mither, or try and once again use power struggle to escape, but does not look like it. Question will they go for the basement unhook? I don't think they will at this point in time. I mean, it would make sense, but I do want to note something. Their timer slowed down all of a sudden. Though it looks like they just missed a skill check. So it looks like they might end up suiciding on hook here. There is the progression to death on hook. And Cerebral Assassin's now with 1 less survivor in play. But only 1 gen left. I don't think it's going to matter all too much. At the very least, I am expecting a 2-man out by Cerebral Assassins. Does end up getting a hit with Victor, but way far off. I don't think they're going to be able to get value. On the bright side, though, Slashy does see where Hatch has spawned. So does have that knowledge for future reference if they're able to get to that point in the game. They do end up whiffing on that. We do see what looks to be an 8-second regression on that gen from a missed skill check, but they do end up getting the down on the Yoon Jin. Attempted flashlight save, but looks like they're shining at the wrong end of the twins' head. Slashy at least being smart enough to not to look through that vault there. We'll see another hook for Slashy at this point in time. That will be second stage for the Yoon Jin. And we do see scratch marks from the Feng Min at this point in time. Looks like Slashy is opting to go for the down, but did lose her when they went for the Victor for the power usage. You know, not sure if maybe that was purposeful or if they just wanted to go back to the hook. But they did end up finding Feng Min once again. And currently trying to get a pounce here, but Feng Min playing this tile well enough to try and keep distance. There's a lot of little bits of geometry that the twins has to worry about, and Feng Min does end up punting the runt. Looks like they end up on chase on the Claudette, as they do end up body blocking for one of their members, trying to use POV to their advantage, and trying to do some locker tech, but no dice there. And Claudette will now be the next up on hook at this point in time. And that is death hook for the Claudette. Question of the day now is whether or not they are going to be able to get any survivors out. I mean, they only have 1 more gen left, and looks like maybe Cerebral Assassins is going to have some fun with this. You know, not really worried about getting any survivors out at this point in time. Looks like trying to boop the snoot of Victor. Looks like Feng Min decides to take the down. Question is, will Slashy fall prey to power struggle once again? Or will Feng Min be able to gnome either out? Let's see, do they have enough time for power struggle to activate? And let's see, verdict is, yes indeed. Feng Min, you know, just wanting to meme a little, get some power struggle hits. And looks like twins, though appreciative of the memes. We do see what looks like a Yoon Jin hiding in a bush. Definitely not on gens as we did see there. Not sure if Slashy did take note of that fact. That Yoon Jin kind of hiding up here on the hill for one reason or another. Looks like Slashy going to be checking out these gens at this point in time. Trying to potentially, you know, get the 4-man. And does end up finding the Feng Min, or is that Yoon? I think that's Yoon. She's leaving blood, so that's Yoon here. Ends up getting the down, and this time no worry of power struggle. So that's at least good news for Slashy at this point in time, though Feng Min out here in the corner, and that will be the double down. I mean, if we're being real here, I'm going to say the winner in this case is Feng Min hitting 2 power struggles this match. Not bad at all. Of of course, pick up the Fangman first. Do not pick up the Yoon, as they could actually get back up on their own. Looks like Slashy did heed that advice, and will be going for the hook here on the Fangman. Question of the day, though, does Yoon have Unbreakable? Does not appear to be the case, and that'll be second hook for the Fangman at this point in time. Doing some little BMs here and there. You know, might as well hit the pinata a few times, see what comes out. Not much candy involved in this game, though. And that will be the last hook for Slashy, bringing a 4K to this last match with 4 gens completed by Cerebral Assassins. And that will be a third hook and progression, ending up in a 14 point for Cerebral Assassins to 53 for How Do We Get Here. However, though, that is all for naught, as the final score ends up in 156 for Cerebral Assassins to 92 on How Do We Get Here. GG's, well played to both teams. We do see the build there for the twins being Thanatophobia, Pop, Corrupt Intervention, and Ruin. Hey, as long as you guys had fun, that's all that matters. But with that being said, that is the end of the match between How Do We Get Here and Cerebral Assassins. Cerebral Assassins coming out the victor. And with that being said, that will be the end of the stream here. We do have another stream, however, at 6 p.m. CST, 30 minutes from now. I believe that match is between... Who is that between, actually? Let me double check here before I do forget. That match is going to be between Legacy versus Milkshake Mafia. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, definitely make sure to stop on by, say hi in 30 minutes or so. But on that note, guys, I'm your Commissioner, Guildspire, and referee for today. If you do want to come on by and say hi, I'm an educational Dead by Daylight player over on twitch.tv/Guildspire. I stream every single day. On that note, guys, I'll see y'all later at 6 p.m. CST. Bye-bye!